The ProAct Know-How, brought to you by ProAct.
Hi, this is ProAct Sam from Living and Working Abroad. Welcome to this vlog and this episode of ProAct Know-How. We are looking at how many days can an expat spend back in the UK. Our client in the Middle East has asked us, as a UK citizen and now an expat living and working abroad, how many days they can spend back in the UK. The number of days you want to spend in the UK can be for many reasons. It can just be holiday, it could be a short work trip, it could be to see family, it could be recuperation. So it can be for many reasons. And what are the conditions where you are not going to compromise your tax resident status? If you've got no property and you've got no permanent home in the UK, now that doesn't mean that you haven't got an investment property which you're renting out, but if you've got nowhere that you can actually live, so you're dependent upon lodgings or hotel type of accommodation, then how many days can you spend in the UK? Well, if you spend less than 16 days in a tax year, then you're automatically going to be non-resident, whatever the situation, whether that's 16 work days, 16 play days, 16 whatever days in a tax year, you're always going to remain as a non-resident. However, with no ties, you could spend as long as 182 days in the UK for that tax year. Remembering that you can't have a home to live in, so you can't go and live in your house for 182 days. That would break the rules, and you can't necessarily work for those 182 days. But if you genuinely can go and have no other ties with the UK, you could spend 182 days in the UK for that tax year. Now, if you're working, you could do a bit of work, and generally, again, if you're working less than 40 days in a year, on a contract basis, you're not going to become a tax resident in the UK. You might pay tax on the income that's arising, but you won't necessarily be treated as a tax resident for your worldwide income. So they're all things to consider, and there's many things that can alter that equation. So for example, if you do spend more than 90 days in the UK in a year and you stay there 182 days, then that's a tie you've got going into the next tax year, as is it if you've worked a substantial period of time. So if you work for 2 months in the UK, that's a tie going into the next year. And if you have a rental property that's become free and you want to go and live in it for a few months to do it up, well, that's a tie as well. So the equation can quickly alter about whether you can spend 16, 30, 60, 90, 120, 180 days in the UK, depending upon your circumstance. And as always, it's about planning ahead and looking what's best for you and your family. Tax is important, but it's not the be all and the end all when you consider what your family and business require. And then it's about planning the best moves around that. And if you want any more ProAct know-how, any help or guidance, you can contact us at proactpartnership.com or through our Living and Working Abroad page and group on Facebook, and follow our vlogs and internet content through our website at proactpartnership.com or YouTube and Twitter. And we'd like to hear from you. Get in touch, ask us a question, and maybe next time we'll feature your question on the next episode of ProAct Know-How. And we'll speak to you again soon. Thanks very much.
The ProAct Know-How, brought to you by ProAct.